Everybody, welcome to Mystic's MMOs. I am your host, Mysticraven. Alright, I'm not going to be on here too long. We'll do some gameplay commentary. But, you know, I can be a kind of questionable person. I'm a bragging person, I always say. I can be somewhat humble at times. I take a look at a full perspective. But when it comes to MMOs, the gaming industry, what I've contributed, I am not very humble, I'll be honest about that. Devs do have a tendency to listen to me when I say something, and there's a dang good reason for that. So I'm going to explain a little bit for the players who don't know about my past and what I've done for the gaming industry as a player. So, I have been MMOing since the beginning. Let's get this straight. I've been involved in MMOs since the grandfather of MMOs, and that was Ultima Online. I have played so many friggin' games and have tested for so many companies. It is literally ridiculous, to be honest with you, because I'm not a big TV person or whatever, so I just got involved, and I'm a nerd in that aspect, that I was a tester, a close tester for a lot of companies, and the majority of the big boys. We're talking the AAA MMOs and things like that, except Blizzard. I've never done anything for Blizzard, so we'll exclude Blizzard. But regardless, I have been involved with a lot of companies in the past and have given my feedback, whether it be positive or negative, in how the direction of certain things need to be implemented for the benefit of the player base. Now, what I typically do, whether it's a live or an alpha phase game, alpha phase, it's just like, bug hunting. Pretty much report. It's boring. I'll be honest with you. It's buggy, it's boring, and it sucks. A lot of people are like, I want to be an alpha tester. I'm like, no, you don't. It's not that glamorous. But, the feedback that they get from initial testers or alpha testers or closed testers is important because it's part of research and development for the product line. And pretty much that's kind of what I did for a lot of companies in the past. And then when games go live, then I say what the problems are concerning the game in its current state. Meaning, what can it be improved upon, what isn't working as intended, and some of the downsides that could impact, the longevity of the product. Now, I've been pretty accurate about what I say. So that's why companies have a tendency to listen to me or implement my suggestions. This game, Elder Scrolls Online, is a prime example of suggestions. So what I like to do is I like to get with players, fellow players, and I'll put out a concern and I'll get a consensus of pros and cons that should be implemented from a wider range audience. And one of these prime examples on console is what you see in front of me, which are the buff indicators. The buff indicators were suggested by me 2 years ago. A few months later, they implemented that. So yeah, I made that suggestion on my Christmas wish list one year because I was healing and I was like, there's no buff indicators. For me as a healer, it sucks to see no buff indication. And they implemented that. That was really, really good. There's been a couple of other things as well that I've suggested, jewelry crafting being one of them, and that was a consensus from other players. So there's been a lot of things that I have said that would be beneficial to the game's element. DC today is on Twitch, and they introduced Seahorse. I didn't say Seahorse, but they did that one on their own. But I said, man, the water and the swimming is so good here. Why wouldn't they have the races? And someone's like, dude, they're implementing that. Like, your suggestions going in. I'm like, another thing, why not give the Atlantean theme layers? And that's now being implemented because of how well they did the Atlantean zone. And I'm proud that I can be a contributing factor to the genre, right? And I've done that for a number of years. So when somebody's like, well, why would somebody had asked me, when you're thinking about starting an MMO company, what experience you have? I'm like, I have better track record than 90-something% of players, because I've had experience with, development to launch and well after, and knowing the market and knowing the trends, and, how accurate I can be at a game's success and longevity. So I'm pretty accurate with all those things. I take it pretty serious. So the best thing I really do like, and I'm going to cue it up, is contributing what I can to the genre, because I love the genre of MMOs. There are always pros and cons to every product, so I'm not saying there is never room for improvement, but I always tell players, get involved. Devs do take suggestions serious, whether it can be implemented or not, or whether or not it's a conflict of interest due to rights and things. I'm never one. If I'm giving advice, I'm giving it for free because I enjoy the product. I enjoy that game. I'm not out to make money or whatever. I just think that certain games have better features moving forward because I'm an avid gamer. I'm an avid player. I know from my perspective, as well as gathering data from other individuals, what players expect to see or wish to see. And when you get involved in these communities, you gather as much information as possible and you translate that back to the development team, because the thing about it is companies want to maintain their player base because that keeps a steady form of revenue coming in, and that keeps people employed, and you have to generate money to justify cost. And all of these things are important. It relates, it's, relative. It relates back. So I don't want to see games fail. I don't want to see games fall on their faces. If anything, if I've ever given suggestion, it's to the benefit of the product to make it as successful as possible. Excuse me, I have a cold. But, if I've said something, devs tend and have a tendency to listen to Mystic. It's just like, hey, I understand this combat system's not like this combat system over here. This is the pros and cons that you have going on with this structured system. So my suggestions, putting it out for the record, you can choose to either implement those suggestions or completely blow me off, which has happened time and time again on both, aspects. It's just been like, no, Mystic doesn't know what he's talking about. One of the biggest fiascos in my friggin' history was when I was testing out the GC when I was on Star Wars, and I was testing the NGE. And the NGE there was like 30 of us taken away and, given private, aspect to leave feedback and try out, the new structured system that was being implemented in Star Wars. And after playing it, I wasn't really opposed to it, and neither as much as the majority of the testers. We went in, they selected us for reasons, and they put us in there, and we had pros and cons, but we told them, you're not going to be able to implement this in the timeline in which you want to, because it breaks down the end game aspect of PvP, which is the Galactic Civil War. So if you implement this, you're shooting yourself in the head. And of course, they went ahead and decided to execute that decision despite their top players and testers telling them otherwise. Not to say we were against it, we just knew this is a problem in its entirety. Now, of course, me and Smeedley got into it pretty rough on a forum talk of some sort, and we got into it. And I was like, you're basically shooting the product in the line. This is to make Lucas happy, Lucas Arts, and to try to maintain the license, because we already know they've got something else going on. Well, too little to know, because there was already rumors about BioWare and SOTOR. And I'm like, so you're afraid to lose the license. So, and of course it did. It ended up happening that way. And I'm like, but by putting this out in its current condition, the license is going to get pulled from you anyways. It's irrelevant at this point. And of course it happened, and you know, and I was thrown in everybody's faces. Oh my god, guess what? Everybody was pissed, but I'm kind of like mad but gloating at the same time. I'm like, yeah, that's right, Mystic does it again, you know. And nice. Get it.
That's the ball! The ball belongs to us now!
So, in a certain essence, I will say this. If this company does take off, I promise, I will be working with devs. I'm a person who I like working with individuals. You know, I like creativity. I like a very, you know, what can we do? Where are we struggling? How can we adapt it? And that's the type of person that you kind of get. Why is this person running out of line? Oh my god, really?
Drop the ball! Don't just stand there!
Excuse me. First off, I'm gonna look for my flag. Hey, what's up? That's a pretty good carry. 113,000? What? No! Back the fuck up! Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Oh shit! That's right! That's right, team. Get it. That's right. I feel like most of the time what we lose sometimes, it's just about you know, so we always have to anticipate devs work on games and majority of them love their jobs, but how many times do they actually get to enjoy their own product is kind of relative. And I feel that's why outsourcing to your player base is kind of important from a company's perspective, right? Because if the consumer doesn't enjoy what's going on, it's going to show, man, right? You can't expect people to buy your product and enjoy everything that's going on in it, What? Keeps kiting around. I'm trying to heal, man. God dang.
They picked up the ball. They'll pay with blood.
Bye. Suckers. Get off me. I'll give it up to the green, man. This dude is booking. Get it. Yes! That's game. That's game, boys and girls. Just shield. Bye. Heal for your fucking life. There it is. There it is. There it is. Let me go ahead and check out the comments. So I'm really happy that, I've contributed a lot to the game, and I feel like you as a gamer need to be more proactive to the community, especially to the dev team. It doesn't hurt anything to throw out suggestions and give it and be objective is what I'm saying. Throw out suggestions and give it and be objective. They have to fix the Chaos Ball bug where if you get stunned or killed while grabbing the ball, it doesn't do damage or disabling of moves. Ooh, good one. For example, if you die as soon as you grab it, you respawn with the ball at the home base. That's so stupid. Really? Dang. Good call, 6. Yo, Real, what's up? What's up? So the funny thing about it is, I always tell people, don't be afraid to throw something out there. If you have an idea for the game that you're playing and you enjoy, I'm not saying they're going to implement it. Okay, first off, let's get it straight here. Okay, so there's some legal ramifications if somebody was to claim, they stole my idea type situation, right? There's, very serious people, and there's people out there that would do that. So they're very reluctant to take any suggestions. So first and foremost, companies are very, very reluctant to, implement things suggested by players. But that doesn't necessarily mean you don't, at least if you feel there something could be improved upon, give that suggestion or report something that you're seeing, because it can help the dev team isolate issues, or maybe take an idea that you may have and come up with something similar to accommodate the benefit for the players or the product. And that's where I'm suggesting. I'm telling people, be proactive. be proactive as a player. If you enjoy a product, I'm not saying it'll resolve everything and that everything will be icing on a cake and they'll take everything. Like the swimming races, I was like, that would be good in this because of the swimming. I didn't make the suggestion of seahorse, so they took the seahorse idea and ran with it. That was brilliant. That was fucking brilliant, actually, because I knew the game already had races. And I was like, why wouldn't they put the races in here? Because it's such a beautiful environment and the swimming makes it so much fun to do it. Like, it would be a lot of fun. And they did it. And, you know, they implemented that, like, the seahorse element to give it its little own flavor. And I was like, see, you know, one person making a suggestion for, something that's already implemented in the game makes sense, right? It brings the environment to life. And that's what I'm trying to say. Like, I don't do it for the expectation of recognition. Because most of the time, most players would never have known you were an alpha tester for this game, you did this for that game, you worked for, these companies in testing and whatever. And I'm like, yeah, of course. And they're like, wow, it must have been cool. And I'm like, well, I wasn't compensated. I'm an alpha tester. I'm pretty much like a free employee at that moment, bug hunting, doing whatever, making recommendations. And they kind of spin off their own things from the results that they get from their testers and try to enhance the product. So little things add up, though. And I always tell devs, have an open relationship. Well, not necessarily open, but, don't be afraid to hear out the community because these are your customers, man. What's up? New to the channel. Great contact, respect. Thank you, official. I appreciate that. Thank you so much, man. Thank you. And I feel like that was the one thing. Like, somebody's like, well, there's a bunch of people who want to start a company. I'm like, well, my background, I have some background experience in business and things like that. And on top of that, I was a very avid gamer. So with all the experience I've had with the genre and my track record, I have recordings of these suggestions and then them later on being implemented. I'm like, that kind of also speaks for itself. That's a pretty good, accurate indication that, hey, the devs are listening to Mystic. Why? Because in the end of the day, I'm a part of the community, and as well as you. We're all part of this community, no matter what product you're playing. So why not be proactive? Don't anticipate. If you're making a suggestion, now let me break this down for you guys. And I don't expect people to be as hardcore as me. And I mean, like, literally, having gear, your gaming gear, and spending countless hours on products that are like buggy as fuck, and you don't see, any recognition, and it's almost like you feel like at the time, like, nobody's taking you serious. So sometimes it feels like, that you're not contributing, but you are. You're a contributing factor to the success of a product. Even in its not only, you don't have to be in infancy or development stage, but post release. So I always tell people the beta testers are important. Closed beta is important. Open beta, stress testing, important. Game launch, finding bugs, reporting that, important. Giving initial feedback and pros and cons of what you like, important. This is what helps the devs decide which direction the game needs to go based on the players pros and cons. I feel like sometimes I wish there were more questionnaires to kind of give the dev team a little bit more insight from a larger audience and not be so biased or take it personal. Just kind of a questionnaire. Do you like PvP? Yes or no? And if you say no, what don't you like about PvP? And give some options. Do you like PvE content currently in this game? Yes or no? And a lot of companies don't utilize their player base to gather information. And that's a crime, really, because it doesn't cost you anything other than, you know, putting out a forum, sending it in the email, and having players answer it honestly. And you need to, and as a company, you should respect your players' feedback, and then you can gather data from that. That's kind of a very good, you know, resource tool. Look at this snipe spammer behind me. Little cockroach. Come here. Fucking little cockroaches. Get the fuck over here. Lycan? God dang, you little fucking snipe spammer. God. We're already outnumbered and then fucking got snipe spamming on my ass. Don't come up with me, you dork! God damn it! I could kill people on my own team. Oh, look, Mystic's up here. I should just go hug him. No, please, thank you. Light armor, yes, I have shields, but stay the fuck off my ass. Come on! God, it sucks being outnumbered. What the fuck? Come here. God, fucking cockroaches. Suck it. I hope you weren't planning on killing me that way. What the fuck? You see this bullshit? Fucking little fucking Look at him sitting in the back just spamming one fucking...
The wind blows against us.
Serves you right. Give me air. Now! Nest! Oh, get the fuck out of that hole, man. Get off. Come on! Fucking little fucking roaches, man. Who in the fuck is the cockroach? Come here, you fucking bitch. Fucking pussies. Come on. Where in the fuck is my team? You don't want to get on top of me, dude. It's not in your best fucking interest, homie. I'll force it to be a game. Yep. Keep on top of me, bitches. Look at these mother... Come here, you little cocks! No way. Fuck! I was robbed! I was robbed! Can't carry everybody, god dang it. Shit. Shit. Shit balls. Coffee's pretty hardcore, BG. I always see that name, yeah. Who in the... I don't even know who this is. No, we do. I mean, number one for my team, second overall, whatever. One death, fuck. Damn! It happens. But I'll say this, man, be proactive. I'm just going to reinforce this to the community. And companies need to, listen to, get a consensus as a company. It's not a bad idea. You're not always right. One of some of the best aspects of life is getting other people's initial, perspective. An initial perspective is pretty accurate, right? is a person's first impression. And first impressions in anything in life are sometimes the most important, thing to establish. A very good first impression is the most important thing to establish sometimes in life. Why? Because what it allows you to do is to create a connection in any aspect in life, whether it be personal, business, recreational, anything in life. First impressions are sometimes the most important. And from a company's perspective, how gamers, initially view your product sometimes, excuse me, can determine whether a player is going to enjoy staying involved with the product, whether it be expansions, DLCs, or sequels. Those are very good how you establish loyal player base. So I'm just going to say, community members, be proactive. Companies, absorb it. Be a sponge, man. I'm not saying execute every order. You can't make everybody happy in life. Okay? It's impossible. But when players give an initial feedback, that kind of reflects which direction your games or your products should be headed. If you want to survive in this type of business, you have to take research and development a little bit serious. And part of that development process is researching the consumers, pros and cons of how they view your product. You don't need to take it personal. What's the demographics of your target audience, right? And how did that target audience respond to the product? It's just that simple. And if that's just translates back to common business sense. So when I've done everything I've done, I wasn't trying to do anything for, bragging rights. And though I can say I've done this and I've done that and I've had this experience and I've, got to meet some of the most excellent developers in the industry and community managers and people I've never, met face to face, but I know them by these gamer tags, or I know them by these, their participation in a project. It's been tremendous, man. And even though I've always said I might not see eye to eye with you, I might get in a little, heated debate, but it's nothing personal. There's no personal, vendetta there. It comes back down to what's in front of me and how I view it from a player's perspective, as well as taking a look at it from the longevity of or where this game is going to head, in which direction. Because if I'm playing a product, the one thing I don't want to see is, you put in a couple of months. Tabula Rasa was a prime example of this. I love Tabula Rasa. Unfortunately, it had a couple of bumps, and Endgame wasn't finalized. And Richard decided to go on a space exploration. It was his dream for his life. He did. He came back, and pretty much they announced that the game was going to shut down. He had no say in it. And that happens. Those are executive orders that are handed down, and but it's history. And me as a player, seeing my time invested in a game that eventually got taken offline was heartbreaking. Because I was like, I just have like 2 full max tunes. I'm enjoying, the dynamic events, how they've, and yes, I'm still waiting on in-game content because I've already maxed out 1 level. But we have PvP in this game. We have, dynamic events. We're just waiting on in-game. And that's it. The functionality of the product worked. It wasn't as buggy as most people would think, and some of the combat could have been a little bit more faster paced, but the environment in which the game was developed was amazing. It was just simply phenomenal. given the bumpy start and the misdirection of what the game was initially going to be and how it took a turn, they still came out with a really good product. With some shortcomings, but honestly, I loved what they did and which direction they did it. But that just goes to show that even if you make the attempts, sometimes it's all for naught. And what can you do? Just be proactive. Don't take it personal, and do what you got to do, man. Okay? So, anyways, I'm going to let you guys go. Like I said, I'm not here. I'm not trying to be humble or anything, but I'm not like, I'm just saying. You can be one of those players. You can be a person who enjoys a product and just, puts it in perspective. All right? Be a proactive if you enjoy the game. All right, I'm going to let you guys go. Once again, Mysticraven, Mystics MMOs, and as always, thank you. Have a nice day.